I guess I just start. So I'm Pete, and I'm 30 years old. And although life on paper, in terms of everything, feels and looks good, um, it doesn't quite feel like that all the time, a lot of the time. I think something I've noticed recently is that, and a lot of people talk about it, is when you hit your 30s, that's when you start. Some people say it's the best years of your life. Some people say it's when you start being an adult. I don't think I'll ever start feeling like an adult. But one thing I have noticed is that when I turned 30, it wasn't so much of this dread that a lot of people talk about. They hit 30 and then suddenly they start, they're scared to hit 30, or they're scared to hit that age. Like, I'm not scared about aging, I'm not scared about that kind of stuff. But what I have noticed is since turning 30 is that I'm started to think a lot more. My mic's falling off. My wife might say that's dangerous. We often say to each other, don't think too much or you'll hurt yourself. But it tends to be the case. But yeah, since turning 30, I just started thinking a lot more. Like, I think things become a lot more real. I think things become a lot more, I think life starts to feel a lot more important. It feels like you're not trying to wing it anymore, which it feels like, well, I guess it feels that way, but then people you talk to that are older than you say you are winging it. So I guess that already negates what I've said there, but you don't feel that way, or at least I don't feel that way. And so something hasn't felt right, and it's like sitting in the background. And ultimately, I think it's what a lot of people talk about is like fulfillment and purpose and things like that. I think that's what a lot of my questions are currently right now. And I think when I talk about something feeling like it's sitting in the back, I I recently read a book called Dungeon Crawler Carl, and the main character Carl, I won't go into details, but essentially the whole way through this book series is always talking about this river in the back of his mind. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's loud, and my dog is chasing a bird. That's nice. Sometimes this river's quiet, sometimes this river's loud, and when it's loud, it's deafening. So when it's loud, you can't hear anything else. When it's quiet, everything's normal, but he still notices it. And I feel like I can kind of resonate with that feeling. I'm not talking about it in terms like Dungeon Crawler Carl was, because he's talking about the fact that he's been forced by aliens to battle to the death by people on, while billions of people across the planet watch, or the world, across the universe watch. But I am talking about it in the sense of just like going through the everyday, in that there feels like there's just this river in the background, and it's not at the moment debilitating. It's not stopping me doing anything really right now, but what it is doing is it is just there. It's just sitting there. And I think that's why I like coming out to spaces like this. It's my morning dog walk. And I feel that this draw to the outside, this draw to just being away from it all, like, it feels like that classic thing that you see in TVs and films, and like people just go outside because they want to be away from it all, and it almost feels like a joke. But man, it's not, is it? Like, it's not. I want to be away from it all. I want to get outside, and where like the noise of screens and social media and work and life and expectation and comparison and all these kind of things just drift away a little bit. But it's also a place where you can think without all that noise. And I think that's what's hard with the river that I'm talking about, is that it kind of just sits there and makes it hard to make any actions, and makes it hard to make any clear decisions, moving forwards. Um, I think the important distinction to make is that me talking about this doesn't necessarily, or doesn't mean I need a reset of my life. I think a lot of people talk about a midlife crisis. I don't think a midlife crisis happens when you're 30, or at least my wife definitely says it doesn't whenever I call what I'm going through right now a midlife crisis. I hope it's not my midlife, but it's getting there. And I feel like it's similar to that, where I don't need a reset. I don't need to just throw it all away and start again and hope it works out better or something. Because like I said, on paper, and actually not even just on paper, I love my life. I have a great job which I enjoy doing, with great people around me, with a great family, great friends. I'm very fortunate and blessed to have the life I have, and yet there's this feeling of, yeah, there's this river in the background. I don't think it's ungratefulness. Like I said, I don't need a reset, but what I do need is to take action, is to do things that work towards ultimately a goal and fixing this problem I have. Let's turn that down a bit. That is bright. Oh. Well, the beginning of that video is going to look crap, isn't it? So I've named this moment The Moment. You can see there, it's titled The Moment. And I think it's because this is almost the beginning of that action, the beginning of that moment. What I'm doing right here is trying to take the pressure off of it. Because when you're in a situation where you feel like there's a river and you feel like you need to make a change and you feel like it doesn't need to be a reset, but it does need to be important, the problem I find myself doing, and others might feel the same, is you put pressure on every single decision that you make because you want that thing to be the thing that fixes the problem. Every single decision you make or idea you have or action you take has to be the one that fixes it. And it's not real. It doesn't work like that. I know that logically, and yet I still fall into that trap every single day because I'm a fixer. I like to fix things. When people come to me with a problem, it's not always the best way to go, but I want to see what can I do to fix it. That's where I'm struggling, is that I'm putting this unbelievable amount of pressure on every single decision that I make. And so in order to find a little bit more fulfillment and joy in the everyday and in something that I'm doing, I just need to start taking action and find a way to enjoy the process. Where I need to enjoy the journey more, but starting to enjoy the journey feels like a struggle, feels difficult, feels painful, and it's easier to not start a journey than start it and then giving it up halfway through. And that's not to say that's what these videos are, in that like, this is it, I'm not putting pressure on this, this is for me. But that's where my mind is at right now. I think an important thing I need to remind myself as well often is that going through struggles and suffering a little bit isn't a bad thing. And ultimately we're told that it is. We've got to live the most comfortable lives ever. We've got to try and make everything as easy as possible. And if you struggle, and if you struggle, you should give it up. And or if it hurts you, then you should ultimately give it up or leave it. But actually, more often than not, pain and struggle is the catalyst towards something great. So I read the other day in Acts, in the Bible, there was a verse that said, the apostles left the Sanhedrin rejoicing that they had been counted worthy of suffering. And that really hit me. They rejoiced that they had been found worthy of suffering. And so in this situation, in the right now, I've got to consider myself worthy of suffering. And remember that actually in some cases, I'm not saying every case, in some cases, suffering is a blessing because it helps you take action towards the next thing. And so that's what I'm doing now. The action, the moment, the thing I'm doing right now, talking to this piece of tech and talking to myself, is to just do something. Is to just do something. Everything that we do is reversible. Nothing we can do is irreversible. I mean, not nothing. Okay, I take that with a pinch of salt. But most things we do in life are completely irreversible. And so completely reversible. And so just take an action. This might not make me feel any better, but I'll try and do it again anyway. Because it's just taking an action towards a step, getting those thoughts out, start doing something, like start being creative, start trying to create something for yourself, not for anyone else, for yourself. And that's what this is. You're definitely not going to reach your goals if you don't do anything, but you might if you do. So this is me doing something, doing the thing. Yeah. Hey, you've been running around. Hey. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Thank you for waiting.